Just a minute before it's time for us to get started, I'm going to go ahead and kick us off here. This is our second ribbon cutting ceremony open house for the new website at Dulcimer Crossing today. Had one this morning that's archived on the Facebook page as well. So this is going to be the same tour. I wore a different shirt so we'd know which was which. We'd figure out which tour is better. You know who to tip then, which tour guide to tip better than the other. But welcome to Dulcimer Crossing. We have been at work on improving our site ever since we started. And one of the things that became clear over time is we were firmly entrenched in the technology of the 1990s because that's what was available to us. And we got it going, and it began to show its age, and it was difficult to fix some things because it would require fixing everything. And we also had questions that were constantly arising from students saying, where do I go next? What do I do next? And it was obvious that we needed an experience that was more than um, more than just static, but it was a more dynamic, maybe curated kind of experience. And so that's what we sought to do. I'm going to add the Dulcimer Crossing.simplero.com. I'm going to add this into the chat. So if you are interested in, there it goes, it comes up. So in this chat, you can see that that's the link to the new site. The current site, dulcimercrossing.com, will continue to be operational through the end of September. But we're in the transitional phase where we've moved everyone who's a member at this time into the new site and given everybody new login information. The old login information continues to work in the old site, but will have no connection with the new site. Everything, it'll be a hard stop. In the old system, we had our passwords over here in a couple of places. We had our payment processing over here in a couple of places. We had our website. We had our backing tracks. We had everything. We had our blog in a completely different place. And what we're doing is bringing everything together in one house. And the passwords, the payment, the subscription process, the lessons, everything is going to be in under the same roof and have the same structure to work with, and it's much more nimble and and responsive. We're able to do some changes and make things work better quickly because because of the bones upon which this is built. So what I want to do is begin taking you through the website, and I'm going to do that by going here first. This is the new Dulcimer Crossing site, and this is the link that I put into the chat of the Facebook page where this live stream is heading. dulcimercrossing.simplero.com. Simplero is the bones upon which this is built. This is what you see when you log in. You see our pledge all along is we want to help you bridge the gap between what you know and where you want your music to go. And as you're looking here, this is the front facing page. What we have across here is you can click here and see which courses that we have. If you say see our individual courses, we're adding for the first time courses that you can purchase and own just by themselves. And these are the courses that are already inside Dulcimer Crossing, but they've been packaged. So if you're looking for just one thing that's going to help you, Absolute Beginning Hammer Dulcimer, Absolute Beginning Mountain Dulcimer, Introduction to the Chromatic Dulcimer, and Introduction to the Dulcibro are all individual a la carte downloadable courses that you can purchase. And there's a special beginning price right now, saves you a lot of money. In addition, to support Erin May's Chromatic Mountain Dulcimer course, you could purchase her Chromatic Chord Encyclopedia too. To support the Dulcibro classes, to support the learning there, you can purchase my book, Method and Resources for Playing Resonator Dulcimer or the Dulcibro. Postage is included in those prices. So that's what happens if you're looking at individual courses. If you want to join the membership, that link takes you to this page where you see you have access to everything. What's changing, in the past we had a premium and a basic membership. Everyone in the new system of Dulcimer Crossing will be everyone will be at the DIY level, or the basic, or the premium level of what we had before. You get access to all of the filmed lessons. You get all access to all the backing tracks. You have um, the live stream on Facebook, um, which is where we are right now, and Habits from the Muse and Habits for Your Healthy Music Habitat, and the Leap Forward, the archive of the Leap Forward classes we did in 2020 on music theory with dulcimers as a focus. We've created 2 new membership levels, however, because some people have talked to us about other things they need. So we're planning a new workshop every month. And for the workshop level, the increase in price that you are paying helps to pay the teacher who is giving us the workshop. And then the workshop will be archived on our site. When you're a workshop member, not only do you get everything from the DIY level, you also get access to every live workshop each month. Maybe your timing and your schedule doesn't line up with that, but you also get access to the video replay or the archive videos of that workshop and all of the other ones we've done. So you get a lot for that extra $25. Now, some people say that's good, but I really need some one-to-one check-in, someone to look over my shoulder and help me out. So at the mentor level, you get the benefits of all the DIY level, the workshop level, and one 30-minute lesson with one of our instructors each month. And the extra that goes here is what pays that instructor. So we're doing our best to try to help support the dulcimer players that we know and love. You get access to all of these things here, and that's what happens when you choose your membership level. As you're looking at it, this is the same button, but you can also see our upcoming workshops. In September, we'll be with Wendy Sange, who is going to be talking about new beginnings. And this is particularly important to her because if you know Wendy at all, you know that she went through a surgery for a brain tumor in the past year and had that removed. And there is a lot about the way she does things she's having to relearn new. And it's just amazing to see how she applies that personal experience in her music teaching experience. And she's going to be sharing that with us. In October, Ilis Mears, National Hammer Dulcimer Championship, is going to be talking about how to smooth our playing. And I loved her title, going from gravel road to fairway. You know, is it real lumpy or is it smooth? We didn't go all the way to green because I don't think most of us live on a green, but we gravel road to fairway. We're still negotiating with who our November and December workshop people will be, but as soon as we know, they'll be there. You can also click down and see who are the teachers that we have on our site. Little bio and a list to their courses, like Aubrey Atwater. We can see that these are the courses that we have her teaching. Now, I can also look at this list and sort across the top of the page and say, I want to sort by teacher. And I can click on the teacher's name there, and I will see all the lessons that they are offering. So there's a couple different ways I can see those lessons. But let me go backwards and get back to the teacher page. And at the top again, let's go back to our homepage. Here's our a la carte courses that you just saw in the individual courses list. And we've added the story of how we got started with Dulcimer Crossing. Linda Ratcliffe and I partnered together to put together this learning site. And Linda talks about her story. I talk about my story and how together we came to create this site, especially for people that don't live where there are instructors or festivals or clubs and still want to learn to play our beloved instrument, but are having a difficult time because they don't feel like they have the support they need. That's why we're That's why we're doing this. Doug, you're saying you're looking forward to Wendy's talk and you like to play staccato. That's very nice. Okay, so now once we have seen the site at dulcimercrossing.simplero.com, we need to go back there and see what happens when we get inside. So here's the ribbon cutting and the open house part. When if I had a piece of ribbon here and the scissors, I could do that, and then we just open the door. When we come to, let's go back to this page, you can see it says member login across the top. When I click that, it's going to bring me to this page, and because I've logged in previously, it welcomes me by name. And it offers, these are the individual courses we talked about. These are the different instruments that we talked about that can be sorted by. We've already looked at sorting by teacher. If we want to sort by instrument, I'm going to take a look at mountain dulcimer lessons first. We have our lessons grouped by skills and by tunes. So at the top of the page, we have all the skills lessons, and lower in the page, we have all our tunes lessons. So we could say, you know, I really want to see what Karen Mueller is talking about with Hifredal. And because it's a mountain dulcimer lesson, we're going to see that. You can see, because I've already started looking at her lessons and have marked one of them completed, that there's a progress bar that shows up in under the title. You can also see that it's telling me I'm being reminded of where I left off last time when I was here. In addition, the check mark tells me that's when I've completed. So let's go here and pick up where we were before. So I see I can view the lesson, the course, the lesson in the course like I did before. I can change the speed. I can make it go faster or slower. I can make the page full size so that I can see better what's going on. Also, Linda has created these animations which show us where to put our fingers as we're playing. And we're looking at the lesson on chords. So you can see here that we start with an open, and then at 001, 210, and as we move through the song, you can see the dots show where our fingers would go. I could mark this lesson complete when I've gotten to the end of it. And what that's going to do is automatically move me to the next lesson. Now, if I go back to that one, it's going to show me that I've done it by showing me this well done. And I could also write in the comments, these chords are backwards from what I'm used to, but they sound nice. I can leave this comment that'll it'll get saved with the lesson, and some other student might come along and say, you know, that was my experience too, and they might interact with me. They might give it a like button. They don't have to respond at all, but it makes it more of a living document. As we go through and we finish all the chords, now it's time. Karen starts demonstrating how we can finger pick this tune. And if you notice, preparing to finger pick, there we go. Well, let's go to the strumming. Strum along, play along. We had a couple of play along files that you can click here and listen to. You can turn off the volume, you can turn the volume on. This will slide it so it can be louder or softer. It's going at regular speed. You could speed it up, you could go at half speed. And underneath you get the little download button. I can download this and listen to it when I'm not logged in to the computer. And then finally, at the very end, after we finish with this class, there is this last one. If you're new to fingerstyle, this is the kind of thing people have been asking for. What do I do next? You know, I really need a review. So there's a link to, whoops, that takes me to the old site. We've got there. I found a link we got to fix. This will take us to Nina's fingerstyle lessons so that you can say, oh yes, I want to go. That's why it said draft. It wasn't quite ready. But the other thing this does is it shows me that I have these two lessons out of 11 completed. And if I just keep going backwards through my tabs and get back to the home place, and now refresh this, you can see now it says I left off at third lesson, 3 chords part B in this course, and it gives me this view here. Now, if I looked at all the teacher lessons and looked at Karen Mueller, this progress bar also shows up at the bottom of this one. I haven't done anything on Johnny Don't Get Drunk or Julia Delaney, so it shows me that here. So there's several different ways for me not to lose my place as I'm working through lessons. And there are ways to tie us into the lessons that we might also be interested in. The same kind of organization is present for hammer dulcimer lessons. We have the skills at the top of the page. We have the tunes later in the page. Now, there's one other thing I wanted to point out. Here, I've checked off that I've finished 6 of the 8 in this particular lesson. As we look at Linda's Jesus Loves Me, we can see that there are the same kind of animations which show us where our hammers are going to play and which hammer she's using to do that. She's got notation and the lyrics for this particular song. But take a look right here. This is something which is new. Sometimes I mentioned before the audio of the play along track might be the kind that you're not able. Let's go back over here and share the correct thing. Looks like maybe we were missing some of the sharing. Okay. Just to make sure we have it, here's Linda's lesson above. I can speed it up, I can slow it down, I can change the volume here. I can make it full size and fill my screen. I can look at the flash animation, which is playing with left and right hammer suggestions. Here's the notation, here's the lyrics for the song. But right underneath is also the opportunity I could download 2 different definitions, a regular video or high def video, 2 different sizes of video. When I go to download that, your computer is going to ask you where do you want it to be put. I could also download just the audio of this lesson. Maybe I want to listen to it while I'm driving cross country. This is a new feature. This is intended not for you to download and give to your friends, but this is a benefit for our members for their own personal use. So one of our terms is that that's the way you're using it. And we're grateful that you do that. Now let's stop the sharing again. And yep, thanks for letting me know, Doug. I'm sorry I was missing that. So let's just go back and make sure that we see quickly. If I sort by instrument, mountain and hammer dulcimers both have this skills or tunes button at the top. It starts off with skills. If I click on tunes, it moves me lower down the page where I can see lessons for tunes. The ones that I've done some work on and marked my progress bar are going to show up with something that reminds me of what I've been working on. Let's go to Don's. Looks like I've finished one and I'm ready to keep on working on my second one. And that's what this will do here. That'll take me there. The same thing happens if I want to come back to the top of the page and sort by hammer dulcimer. So I have skills at the top of the page and tunes at the bottom of the page. If I choose chromatic mountain dulcimer, we see the chromatic course, which was in the individual courses, as well as other tunes that Aramay has created. That right now, all of our dulcimer courses are inside, or all the lessons are inside the course, which is also available. But you could also, we can see, whoops, looks like we have a little work to do here to divide that up. So that's why we're doing a tour to figure out, got to put my hard hat on and fix that. And then our fiddle lessons from Vi Wickham are also here. Now, I can also sort by skill level. We have some absolute beginning lessons, and these are not divided by instrument. This just by skill. So absolute beginning is level 1. Beyond beginning, which is, people call this advancing beginning, novice, next steps. There's all kinds of ways people describe this, but if we've had the absolute beginning, we're ready to play the tunes that are in this section. And then there's intermediate, which is level 3. And you can see again, here's a hammered dulcimer in the picture. So that's a hammered dulcimer lesson. Here's a mountain dulcimer in the picture. Here's a mountain dulcimer lesson. So that's kind of how we're trying to, that is how we're showing what the lessons are. And then our advanced lessons, we have lessons for advanced playing as well. As we work, so we've looked at teacher, we've looked at skill level, we've looked at instrument. The next thing in our navigation is the backing tracks. And this is a way of using recorded tracks as a way of helping our ear development. So I'm going to go to, let's see, how about Chariton River Bridge? We have lessons about this. I click on this and it's playing the tune. I can also download this. But right next to where I clicked, there was a PDF tablature. Okay, it looks like I need to actually share my screen and pick a couple different tabs. Here is what the backing track looks like. If I click the play button, it's going to play. It's going to tell me how long the track is. I can change the volume here, and here is where I say I want to download it, and it's going to ask me where I would like to save it on my computer. It's got its own little title, Chariton River Bridge, CRB, 90 beats per minute with, and it's got an HD in there, means there's a hammer dulcimer playing melody in that particular track. Now, if I stop that and I go to Chariton River Bridge, which is the tab that has the music in it, you can see we have the chords in order. This one particularly does have the melody that's also available. That doesn't mean all of them will not have the melody. The idea here is not that we try to read the melody, but that can be a helpful prompt as we're listening to the track as it's playing, so we can do our best to play along. There was a good question about that. I'm going to take away my preview there. Now the other thing, let's go back to the backing track page. This is a sortable database. So you can sort by title. Right now it's alphabetical. You can also sort by tuning. So if you're a mountain dulcimer player, you can sort it from front to back in the alphabet. FAC showed up first here. And then I can sort by key. So all the A's and the A minors, the C's, the D's. And I can sort by genre. Bluegrass, blues, bossa nova, Celtic, a lot of Celtic. And I can sort by style. And that usually in our system refers to tempo. How fast is the track going? In the end, this is the version 1. Version 2, when everything is inside of Simplero, you'll have the tracks that relate to the tablature all on the same page. You'll be able to see both at the same time. At the current way of doing things, we're not able to do that. So this database is helping us organize things. And this will eventually point to those pages inside the new Dulcimer Crossing site. Now let's go take a look at the forum, which is a new feature that we haven't had before. This is a place for members to interact with each other and interact with the lessons. So you can see there are some posts that have been made here. When I looked at this one this morning, there was a new comment here. So that there was a button that said new. So it showed me which ones were new. These can all be, these are all filed under either nothing or general discussion. But when you're asked to write a new post, you're asked to put it in a category so that we can follow where things are in the future. and any member can post. So here's an example where there was a post by somebody. I commented, somebody else commented, I commented back, somebody else commented, and that's a way for us to keep the conversation going. Lessons requests, if there's a skill or a tune that we don't have on the site, that would be a great place to leave your input there. Now, the other thing, and this is new, is having access to our live events. And when I click on that, I've got the option of upcoming or past events. Upcoming, Wendy Sange is the next workshop that's coming up. So you see the person who's teaching it, the information about it, when it's happening. The join here button is not about joining Dulcimer Crossing. In order to see this, you already have to have access to the inside of the website. So this is about joining the actual Zoom meeting. And these workshops will be interactive by Zoom. They will be hosted, however, so that the instructor can get through all the material, but there will be opportunities for questions and answers, and people to either turn their cameras on or off as they're interacting with the teacher. You can also add a reminder to the calendar depending on which kind of calendar you like to use, so that you don't forget when that workshop is coming up. Oh, I've got to share because you didn't get to see that when I clicked on that. That's the things we learn. There it is. This is what I was describing. Here's Wendy's workshop. Here's the description about it, the reminder of who this is available for, the time, and this is the join here location. This opens a new Zoom meeting, which you can't see because it took us out of that site again. And then here's where you can add it to your calendars. All right. So let's close that one. And let's go back to sharing the screen. Now that is the upcoming events, and they will be here. You'll be able to plan ahead. But we also have access to the past events. When you're a workshop member or a mentorship member, you have access to all of our past workshops. So at the top, this is where Wendy's workshop will go. This is where Ilis's workshop will go. Actually, the ribbon cutting open house for this morning's opportunity to take people through is here. This one will also be here too. Matthew Dickerson's workshop last week, the Chromatic Summit for Chromatic Mountain Dulcimer, the roundtable that we had at the beginning of the day was hosted by Dulcimer Crossing. And so the archive of that is available here. In addition, here are the weekly live streams that I do from Vimeo to Facebook and have been doing since April 1 of 2020. No fooling. Also here is the whole year. This is the raw videos of our Leap Forward in Your Music Understanding Music Theory as if Dulcimers Mattered that Aaron May and I hosted for the year of 2020. We started off every other week, and then we started adding other instructors who gave us a particular focus on what their interest was and how music theory helps them in their musical life and educational life. And those are gathered there. This is also available as a course within the site if you want to go through just the raw data. We are curating those so that they can be in smaller bite-sized pieces as well. And finally, at the bottom of the past events page are samples from recordings, whole recordings. The Chromatic Dulcimer Summit had a great faculty concert. That's archived here as well. Now, if you find that when you're logging in and you're interested in a workshop and you click on it, you get this, it's because you are a DIY member, and workshop and mentor level members get access to the workshops, but you can upgrade. And here's the thing. I'm going to stop this because I want to be able to use my hands. We don't have access to your password. We don't have access to your payment information. It's all in the system. So your data is protected. We can't interact with that. What we can do is make sure that it does what you wanted it to do, but you're in charge of what you want it to do. So if you're a DIY member, you are scheduled to have access to the whole site, But if you want to become a workshop member, because there's a workshop coming up that's really cool, it's right up your alley, you can become a workshop member in order to take part in that workshop. Your access to the whole site will be at the workshop level for a whole month. And then you can return back to the DIY level at any time you want. You could sign up just for the workshop part and return to the DIY. You'll still have the workshop access. You'll have access to the past event stuff, but your support will help us to pay that instructor for being there. And um, and that's something you can do at any time. You're in charge of all those things. Now we have one other thing to share or to show that's brand new. And that's when it says book your lesson. This is for mentor level members who have access to a 30-minute lesson once a month. If you click, say you want to book a lesson, I've shown Aaron May's before, I've shown Linda's before, I'm going to show mine. If you want to have an initial lesson with me, you haven't had a chance to do this. When you click on this, you're going to see your time zone displayed here. If it's not displayed correctly, you want to use this toggle to make sure it displays in the time zone that you need it to. I'm going to say I'm going to have a lesson with myself in a couple of weeks on this particular time because that's what's available. And then because it's my initial lesson, I'm going to let me know which instrument I want to work on. And it's going to be one that I actually teach. So I'm not going to put chromatic dulcimer in here. Then I'm going to answer some questions that help me focus what I want to get done. And that information comes to me. It also goes to the instructor that I'm wanting to work with so that they have an idea, and it helps me focus my mind. It helps them focus as well. Now, if I was to book a follow-up lesson, when I do that, say I want to do it at 150, okay, you don't see that intake form anymore. So the initial lesson uses the intake form, the follow-up lessons do not. And then you both get the information when you fill this out. Both the teacher and the student get the link to where the meeting will happen in Zoom, and you get reminders, and the teacher gets that as well, so that you can all come into the same meeting room when it's time for the lesson that you've agreed upon. Now, so far, we've only got 3 teachers set up to do this. We have other teachers interested who we're waiting on a step or two before that happens. It's quite possible all the teachers will not be available in this way, but we're going to work to make as many available to us as possible. Now, there's one other thing on this page that I want to show you, and that is the magnifying glass, kind of the universal search thing. So I'm going to say I want to look for old time music. And so in this particular one, if I go here, the first one that comes up, it shows me this part that's part of the next steps and extras in the Cripple Creek Hammer Dulcimer lesson, where we can be inspired by a 7-year-old who is learning this tune and playing it very well. Now, using a baritone on old time jams, introducing and demonstrating a higher octave. This is a fiddle lesson. Blacktail Weasel's an old time sounding tune. So you can see that we have 13 pages and 121 different hits for the word old time on our site. This will give you access to everything that is related to old time that you might be interested in. So that's the inside tour of everything that's happening. Now I'm looking, and Doug is saying, let's stop the sharing. You're still finding the sorting by skills a bit confusing, because there's not. Some people have suggested alphabetizing, which is a way that those lessons could be organized. There isn't an easy way in the system for us to do this yet. We've put in a system request or a feature request to be able to more intuitively organize the lessons in the site. But there just isn't a way to do that. And there is not an easy way for us to sort by two different things at the same time. So we have the skills lesson for both mountain and hammer dulcimers. If you just look at skills, you'll have to do a little picking and choosing. So I'm hearing that that's still a little bit confusing, and I feel your pain, but at this moment we don't have a way to work around that. So I'm going to ask if there are any specific questions that anyone has. Thank you for being here and giving us the feedback you're giving us, Doug. That's very helpful. Let me add that back on. Oh, let me say this. Everyone who is a member of Dulcimer Crossing at the current time is either a basic or a premium member. Everybody has been moved into the new site and given access as if you're a mentorship level for the time this whole practice or this whole transition time. That means you have access to the workshops. That means obviously you have access to all the filmed lessons and those things that a DIY student or a member gets. You also have access to the whole backing tracks. Backing tracks is a piece of the DIY. You have access to the workshops, past and future, in the time within this time frame, and you could book yourself a mentorship lesson with one of our instructors. Now, remember, everybody gets one a month, and so you could choose the teacher you want to work with, and that would be you'd set up how this is a sample for how that would work. It might be that you would want to change you have a contest coming up or a special performance or a wedding or a funeral or something for church, and you want the interaction of a teacher. One of the ways you could do that is increase your membership to the mentorship level, get that private lesson taken care of, and then return to the level that you started at before, and that lets you have the access to the individual instructor. It's not like you have to sign up and then you have to be there the whole time. You can change that to fit your timing, your budget of time, your budget of resources, and your focus for a particular time. There may be a season where you really want to do things on your own, but there might be a season where I really want to have access. And maybe you click with a particular teacher and you want to have more private lessons with them. That's up to you and the teacher. That can be scheduled outside of Dulcimer Crossing. But within Dulcimer Crossing, you can have access to one 30-minute lesson with them. So I'm grateful that you have come by to take a look at the behind the scenes and celebrate with us. The transition period, everyone in the 2 checkout system, which is where payment is done now, everyone who has a renewal date before the 12th of September will renew in the 2 checkout system. After that, that will not work. Everyone who has a renewal date after the 12th has already been charged for this month and will not have another renewal in 2 checkout. The next one will be in Simplero. And if you choose not to choose a membership level or set up your payment, then what will happen is at the end of September, you'll just lose access to your content. At the end of September is when the old site stops working and it closes down and there's no access to that anymore. And so there's a period of time in which you get a chance to look at everything in the site before you make your decision about what you want, what level you want to be at Dulcimer Crossing. Our goal here, of course, is to help you do what you want to do with your music. And as Linda and I would talk about, as people who lived where no one else was who played, she had been in Texas, but she was living in the Virgin Islands. Not really a lot of hammered dulcimer players around the Virgin Islands. And I lived all over the West and was not where they were. until I was in a place where I could start gathering them, and that's what became the Colorado Dulcimer Festival. And so everywhere we live, like Malacha Hall is one of my sheroes. Everywhere she lived, there were no other dulcimer players, so she'd start teaching some people until she got, 5 or 6, and then she'd create a club until there was like 90 some people in the club, and then she'd move to a new place and do it all over again. That's the dulcimer nation that Keith Keener likes to talk about. Well, if we have no more questions, I'll just remind you this is going to be archived in the past events page on Dulcimer Crossing. It's also going to be archived on our Facebook page alongside the one that was here this morning. And you can leave your comments there as well as here. There's one other thing I want to show you. That's right, there is one thing. And that is the contact form, which is in the Dulcimer Crossing site, dulcimercrossing.simplero.com site. Right here, if I click contact, you can write to me. It will come to our ticket system, which lets me be sure that I don't lose your email. You know how it is in this world. We can send emails and they may not be received by the people we sent them. So I sent everybody, when I set everybody up, I sent them their login information. Very few people found that email. And I just went through today and physically resent everybody's login information to them so that you have access to the site. I don't know what that login information is. You do, but I can resend it to you, or you can reset the password and it'll be saved in the system. I won't know what it is, but you can reset it. And so if you do this, there's a ticket system that lets me know that this is what you want to deal with, and it puts it into the queue so I know that this needs to be dealt with. And it'll keep popping up in my feed until I deal with it. Unlike the emails from my wife's church, where I'm also a member, which were apparently coming to me. They've been apparently coming to me since March, but for some reason they keep getting sent into a folder I never see, even though I'm trying to train Gmail to put them in my regular folder so that I can see them. I have to go hunt for those emails, and I can get in some trouble at home for saying, "Where didn't you read that message?" It's like, didn't get it. And I'll go look and go to one of those weird places, and sure enough, there's an email that came earlier in the day, and I didn't know about it. So we understand in this world of, fire hose of emails, finding the one you're looking for can be a thing. So that's why we're using our ticketing system so that your questions don't get overlooked and forgotten. Well, if there is nothing else, I'm going to say farewell and bid you a good adventure, or bienaventurados, the Spanish good adventure to you as you look through the new site. You still have access to the old site where you know where things are, but take a look at the new site. If in the process you find some things that look wonky to you, please contact me and tell me. We've been having some beta testers go through finding some very important things that need to be dealt with, and I found a couple today that I didn't know about that now need to be fixed. So we'll still be working. You might want to wear your hard hat and notice there's some dust around still, but all of the lessons from the old site have been moved into the new site and are operational. We're just working on tying all those loose ends and putting in the trim and a few little things of paint and things like that. So that's where we are. And thank you for joining me. Unfortunately, I don't have any cake for you. You're going to have to get your own cake. I would be more of a pie guy anyway, so I have to provide my own pie. But refreshments are on your own, but the lessons are on us. So thank you. We'll see.